Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Bumblebee, the 2018 movie. This is the first Transformer movie I've seen since the very first one directed by Michael Bay back in 2007. That's a long freaking time. And I just now watched Bumblebee because I never wanted to watch another Transformer movie again because I really was disappointed with the very first Transformer. My main problem with that is that, I grew up in the age of Transformers back in the day, and I remember watching it. I just don't remember what it's about. I just remember it's giant robots and they turn into vehicles and stuff. That's all I remember. And when I watched the Michael Bay Transformer movie, I'm just like, why are there so many people and stuff? I didn't understand that. It was just like human after human after human. And I'm just like, even though I don't remember the original cartoon, I don't remember there being that many humans and stuff. I remember it being more like robots and crap. So I was just really irritated. And then seeing all these big name stars just appear in the movie and stuff. And it just drove me nuts. And so I wasn't really all that satisfied. And I just steered away from the Transformer movies. Same thing with his Ninja Turtles movies. I tried to watch the first one. I couldn't get a couple of minutes in without turning it off. When it comes to the bad boy movies, that's really the only thing of Michael Bay's I will watch. Ninja Turtles and Transformers, no, thank you. But, since I got Paramount Plus and it's about to end soon, I'm like, okay, let me watch some movies and stuff like that. So I'm like, what can I watch? And then I saw Bumblebee. I'm like, oh yeah, I like Haley Steinfeld and everything. So I guess I'll give it a try. But I kept putting it off for many months. And so I'm like, okay, I'm finally going to watch it. All in all, I really enjoyed this movie. It was really unexpected that I enjoyed it. I'm never gonna buy it on DVD, but it's something I wouldn't mind watching from time to time on streaming and stuff. There's two different sides to this movie. There is the coming of age story of a girl and her pet robot car. Then there is all the Autobots and Decepticon war type stuff, which it was very brief on. There really wasn't that much of it, and I was really shocked and surprised and wanted to see more of that. But I was enjoyed by what I got. It's mostly just a coming of age story with a girl and her Autobot. And it was just it was just cool. It reminded me of them old school movies of somebody going to say a horse ranch and befriending a horse. And then the whole movie revolves around that. It reminded me of that. Or a boy who finds a dog and befriends that. It reminded me of those type of movies from the 90s and the 80s and stuff. And putting that aside, the Autobot and Decepticon stuff, man, that was awesome. That opening scene, boy, I wish so this is how I want a Transformer movie to be. I want it to be nothing but them on Cybertron. I want the Decepticons and the Autobots just constantly going at it. That's what I want to see in a Transformer live action movie. Get your behind off Earth. All that stuff was good, man. And it was well choreographed and directed and stuff. And then after all that was over with, I love the third act with Dropkick versus Bumblebee and then Bumblebee versus Shatter. That fight scene was amazing. It was choreographed so realistically that it felt like two people in a UFC arena or something like that. And the action was way better than any, I can't say any, but the first Michael Bay movie and stuff. And not only that, But like, it's weird. Like I keep saying, like I don't remember the cartoon, and I don't. But every time I saw the Bumblebee stuff, where it's like the Autobots and then the Decepticons, I felt like it was done right. I felt like it was my childhood, like myself reliving my childhood, even though I don't remember the old cartoon. But I feel like the old cartoon finally, for the first time, came to life in this movie when it came to like the opening scene in the final third act. It just felt real, and it felt like the old cartoon and stuff. Now, sadly, there aren't that many Autobots and Decepticons in this movie. It's very low on that number. They took a risk with this movie, and it kind of paid off, and it kind of didn't. See, by this time, people was sick and tired of the four Michael Bay movies. Like, they was tired of all the huge explosions. They was tired of, like, the racism with certain, like, Autobots and Decepticons acting like certain different races because their voices sounded ethnic and stuff like that. They was tired of Shia LaBeouf. They was tired of Shia LaBeouf getting in trouble. Megan Fox cannot act, and whoever the new girl replaced her still can't act either. And it was just one thing after another when it came to the Michael Bay film. So they needed somewhat of a soft reboot. Originally, Bumblebee was supposed to be the prequel, and it still is. It's the prequel to the Michael Bay movies. So, they show how, like, Bumblebee lost his voice and stuff like that. And even the designs of the robots are more faithful to that of the old cartoon than the Michael Bay one. But I prefer the Michael Bay designs better because if you're going to adapt the movie, you got to go out on the designs. Just like a superhero costume. You can't just rip it straight from the comic with the spandex and everything. You gotta give somebody something to look at, you know what I'm saying? So I like the Michael Bay designs better, but this is more faithful to the old cartoon. And even though this is a prequel to like the Michael Bay films, because it was so well received, because this is still today the only, and I mean the only Transformer movie that got high reviews. All the other ones got mixed to negative reviews. However, this movie didn't make that much money. It is the second lowest ranking in when it comes to that of financial stuff. I can't talk right now. You know what I'm talking about, like money wise and stuff like that. Where's my brain going? Like my mind want to say one thing, but inside my head I see something else. In my mouth is something else is coming out. But it's the second lowest pricing movie and stuff. The lowest one is the one that just came out with Rise of the Beast. And so even though the Michael Bay one made way more money, they was negative received, and this movie with the high praise didn't get that much money. But it had a smaller budget than all the other movies because I guess they kind of like, all right, look, if you ain't gonna do all the war stuff and the explosion stuff and all the blah 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 stuff, then we ain't gonna give you. They had no faith in this movie. That's all that was. They had no faith in this movie. They all like, who wants to see a movie about Bumblebee and nobody else? You know what I'm saying? And Shia LaBeouf's not in this movie. Haley Steinfeld's in this movie. It's the first and only Transformer movie that has a female lead. All the other ones have male leads with a female assist. And this one has a female lead with a male assist. So they didn't want to give that much money in terms of a budget. And, with not that much money, you can't do that much on screen. So, and people were just kind of like, I probably ain't going to do that well, blah, blah, blah. And so, it just didn't make that much money, unfortunately, and stuff. Travis Knight is the person who actually directed this movie. And this is his first live action movie he's ever directed. Christina Hodson, she's the one who wrote this, and I'm very shocked and surprised that it was this good because Birds of Prey sucked and The Flash is The Flash. And she wrote those two. However, you can see a little bit of her writing in this movie, especially with how Haley's character keeps rejecting that guy about like, we ain't there yet. I'm very surprised that those two did not end up together at the end of the movie, but they're slowly starting to be a couple. And he wanted to hold her hand at the end of the movie, and she would not let him. And I'm just kind of like, really? Like, you had to write that in there like that. Like, she couldn't at least just hold the dude's hand after all they've been through, all how much he helped her out. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's just kind of like, that's Christina for you. And you know what? It sucks that Haley isn't back for like any of the sequels because she helped make this movie what it was. This is the only reason why I watched it is because of her. She has an infectious type of like acting that you just fall in love with. Like, she's charismatic, she's charming, she knows how to act. Like, she's a way better actress when it comes to acting than Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, and whoever the other girl who replaced Megan Fox combined. Like, she is that good. I don't care how many movies Shia LaBeouf has been in and all this other stuff. And yes, his acting has improved, but it's just, he's Shia LaBeouf, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just parts of his acting that sometimes just isn't all that great. But he is good. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he is good. Like, you know what I'm saying? But he's like, but it's just like, there's just something about his acting. Sometimes it just turns you off. And of course, his personality turns a lot of people off. And I hope that dude gets help. I hope, like, I haven't heard nothing bad about him in a while, but his two ex-girlfriends said some bad stuff about him that should have got him investigated and ended up in jail. But that just kind of flew under the radar because the Me Too movement is like over and stuff. And yeah, but anyways, and so also John Cena's in this movie, and I completely forgot John Cena's in this movie, and I wish John Cena was not in this movie. I like John Cena as a wrestler, just like The Rock. I like them both as wrestlers. And same thing as Batista. I like all three as wrestlers. But when it comes to acting, I can't stand none of them. John Cena cannot act, period. Like, exclamation mark, the dude cannot act. He cannot control his facial expressions. If he could control his facial expressions and not make his dialogue sound so corny like he did in the wrestling ring, I would be okay with it. Other than that, the dude cannot act. And I wish he would stop getting acting roles. And sadly, I own 2 DVDs with that of like John Cena, 1.5 of The Rock, and I think none with Batista. No. I own one with Batista. And it's just kind of like, ugh. But John Cena cannot act a lick. Plain and simple as that. Angela Bassett did an amazing job as like Shatter. She was so menacing and like chilling in her voice and presence. Justin Theroux did a really good job as like Dropkick. I like the part where he's like, I like him. I like seeing him go like pop and everything. Like, that was so unexpected because the humor in this was point on. Like, it was really, really good. And like, it was cool to see what's her name? Megan Price, I think her name is. It was really good to see her in something again. I haven't seen, like, I remember her from Grounded for Life. She played the mom. And everybody crushed on the mom. They were supposed to crush on like the daughter, but they crushed on the mom even more. And so, like, man, it was so good to hear the dude voice from Optimus Prime again. Peter Cullen, I think his name is. I believe this is gonna be like his last time like voicing it, because like in the new movie that's coming out, Transformer 1, he's no longer the voice for it. They retired him and stuff. Dalen O'Brien, he was the voice of Bumblebee for whatever short point of time that he was, but his voice is now gonna be replaced. You know, the doctor in this movie was so stupid. The scientist dude, like, I don't understand. This dude supposed to be so smart. Why is he so like? I understand he likes the idea of aliens and giant robots and stuff like that, but come on, dude. They had the name Decepticon in it. Oh boy, like I swear, man. It's like I just don't get some people. And so, like, actually, Cybertron was supposed to be in this movie. Not Cybertron, but Megatron was supposed to be in this movie. But, you know, they had to keep to the continuity of the Michael Bay movies. So they just didn't do that. And so, like, the actor who played, like, you know, the best friend, like what is it, like the neighbor and stuff? George Lindenberg Jr., I believe his name is. He's a Dominican actor and was really good with the comedic timing and stuff. It just sucks he couldn't get the girl in the end, you know. But that dude's comedy was like so hilarious in the movie. And I can't give it up enough for Haley Steinfeld, man. Like, she was the reason why I watched this movie. And she should be in all the other sequel movies. But with the Rise of the Beast is set in the 90s, she could still be in that one. But I heard that one didn't do so good. And there's this one YouTuber who was excited for that movie until he watched it. Because he watched the Beast Transformers growing up. And he said that really none of them got a good time to shine in the movie. Their personalities weren't the same. They weren't expanded on. It was just a cash grab. And that totally sucks. It's just kind of like, that's all these Transformer movies are, cash grabs. And, you know, it's weird. If people knew of Decepticons and like Autobots back in the 80s, I don't remember much about the first Transformer movie, except for everybody seemed to be completely shocked that they were giant, like, mechanized robots that can transform into, like, vehicles. Yet this stuff happened in the 80s, but I'm guessing it was a military cover-up. But then how they gonna keep the family silence, you know? I guess they forced them or something. But they should have known about that. I say this movie should have just been a hard reboot, do his own universe thing. I mean, because, you know, I mean, it's weird now because like they have different like body design parts and stuff. But I guess they could say in the year 2000 they just upgraded to what they look like in the Michael Bay movie. So, you know, the family was really good and then overstepped their place. There's one thing I'm getting really irritated in and watching a lot of these like movies out about superhero movies or cartoon movies adapting to live action, that they always put the family front and center and they overdo it. I haven't seen Blue Beetle yet, but I heard the families in the movie way too much. But here they wasn't like, you know, they wasn't like every scene, and they was like in just the right moments when they needed to be. The mom is kind of like, you know, overprotective and, you know, living her life. The little boy is not overly bratty. The stepfather is kind of, he's nice, but he's written in that modern day wimpy guy kind of thing. But it was a cool car chase sequence that they had, but you can tell he was modernized and stuff. And even the next door neighbor dude, even he was a little modernized, you know, like he was a little too nice. You know, he couldn't even hold her hand, man. I do like the Charlie character. I love how, like, you know, she's so, like, you know, just independent, knows what she wants, doesn't let things get, like, you know, go too forward, like, you know, like, even though I thought that was ridiculous, she wouldn't let him hold her hand. At least, though, she is setting the stakes of, you know, how far this relationship can go with the kiss on the cheek, you know, don't think too much into it. You know, we ain't there to hold hands yet, but even though that was still just a weird thing. I also like how headstrong she is. Like, she's just like, you know, because when you first see her, she's that grumpy teenager, even though she's 18. And she seems like she's gonna be a little bit bratty. You might not like her, but then as soon as she gets her like Autobot, she just becomes like a completely different person. Because you gotta remember, she's not so much stuck in time, but she's stuck in a rut. Like she doesn't want to move forward from her father's death. And so like this, like first before she even knew it's an Autobot, she just thought it was a car. That opened up so much life into her, 'cause her mom would not get her a car and she loves cars. And like, um just I don't know, it's just Haley Steinfeld, man. It's infectious, man. Like I swear she is. It's just her presence that just makes you fall in love with her on screen. And especially when she found out it was an Autobot, like how over like thrilled she was and everything, and wanting to teach it like how to do things like a pet and just like all kind of stuff. And even when he trashed her home, she got mad and was pissed, but she wasn't like overly shouty and pointing her finger and all this other stuff, like she kept it like, toned down and everything. So about the movie, but with this more quieter movie and everything, it was really enjoyable. I really liked the character of Charlie. She's a tomboy, and she's a girl who cannot move forward because of the death of her father. She's taking it way too hard. The rest of her family can move forward, but she's just stuck in like a rut, I guess you could say. And so she's a great mechanic and a very independent person, but she doesn't let too many people in. And she doesn't like the idea of her having a stepfather and stuff like that. And when Bumblebee shows up on Earth and, he's fighting that Decepticon and loses his voice and memories, he hides out for a good while until she finds him. And then those two just like bond instantly. It's like, a person who finds a MacGuffin or a kid who finds a magical creature. And, the bond is irresistible. And it causes her to lighten up and to start accepting people in the world, like, her next door neighbor. And as she's trying her best to hide her, like, pet, who's destroying, like, her home and all this other stuff. And it's just fun watching those two train to, like, how to hide and, like, all this other stuff. But then you have the military aspect of the movie where the Decepticons are like lying to the military and they're like stupidly believing them. Even John Cena's character, Jack Burns, is like, dude, they have the name Decepticon in their name. Like, why are you trusting them? But it's the typical military human don't understand, so they want to destroy. They keep wanting to destroy Bumblebee, but not the Decepticons for some bizarre reason. All because the Decepticons lied to them. And so basically the Decepticons want to find Bumblebee because Optimus Prime sent them to Earth to protect the Earth and let it be the base of operations because Cybertron is falling. Basically, once everything's all up in the open and everything, they're trying to communicate with the rest of the Decepticons to bring them to Earth. And so Charlie, Bumblebee, and the next door neighbor dude, they all have to stop that. And, this movie is just so well paced, in my opinion. Like, like rather, and it's just like the writing, like rather it's the action, rather it's the bonding with like, this magical creature thing. Everything just fit perfectly in the movie. And so it is on Paramount Plus. I don't know where else it's at, but like, yeah, it's a really good movie and you should check it out. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.